Well played to him tonight. The poor kids were on their own in the kitchen this evening. No Vincent to hang out with. Interesting that when asked there about the secret to tonight, the very first word he uses is work rate. That's key, isn't it, to everything City do?
Yes, and it might not be the first thing you would say about them from a distance. You'd look at the beautiful football, but I think it starts with work rate. It starts with the winning the ball back higher, which he spoke about there as well. I think it was always a trait of the great Guardiola Barcelona team. They smothered you, put you under pressure, made it feel very difficult for you to get out, and then when they had the ball, they had the quality on it. So I think it's a very good insight to see that that's their first instinct.
Yeah, they just leave you with nowhere to go. You know, like Frank says, they do smother you, and you end up, they have to go along with the ball, and everyone's so comfortable when they do win it back that it takes so long for the other teams to try and get possession again. It's just a grind for the opposition because they just can't get the ball, and when they do, it's near impossible for them to keep it.
OK, well, let's take a look then at the goals that, we'll talk about this in a moment, have pretty much secured their place in the quarter-finals. The first one here was just great movement, wasn't it?
It's a simple corner, to be honest. I mean, it's very good movement. The timing's very good. He gets across his man, which is what you need to do in that front post area. As we said, they're attacking that area, but Gundogan gets on that one. It falls slightly short, gets a great header on it, and what better way to approach a game? When they started quite slowly, but you go and score from a set piece, it opens up the game in your favour.
And it wasn't too long before goal number 2 was scored. We actually had 3 goals scored within a 9-minute period in this game. This is goal number 2. Great ball through.
Yeah, it's what we've come to expect from him. Sterling's final ball has really improved this season, but once City get in front of you, they find the gaps then, because you have to come out, you have to try and make a challenge of the game. They do find the gaps, and here you see all the defence are caught up, and Bernardo Silva goes into that Frank Lampard position.
I was going to say, I loved that area. That's why I was talking at half-time about it. And I thought Silva gave something different tonight to the City team. I think that their first pick will probably be Sterling Sane on the wings, but he brings a continuity with the way he comes and gets involved on the ball, and that's something slightly different to when they play the 2 speedsters out wide. And
he was good tonight. Silva was good. Delph was back in. Vincent Kompany, as we know, played the full 90 minutes. Sane had a run out as well. It feels like at a crucial time, just as the games are getting going again and we're in the knockout stages now of the Champions League, everyone is fit, raring to go for Pep, which is key.
Yeah, it's very positive for them, you know, that everyone wants to play. You can hear Vincent Kompany, he's desperate to get back out and play because he can see what's coming, he can see the success that the side is building, and everyone wants to be part of it. And hopefully over the next couple of weeks you'll get Mendy back and other players, and Jesus will be back, and then the squad will just be, keeps everyone on their toes coming up to that last part of the season as well.
When you spoke there about as a player running in, just hanging back a little bit, what was that? Because the ball would come to you, or you were looking for knockdowns from other people and hoovering things up?
A mixture of those. Everything's in front of you, so you can see everything. So you have, and the minute Sterling is out wide and he gets behind, he has probably 2 main options. One is to fizz that one across the face, which is what Sergio Aguero is looking for, or the other one is to cut it back. Now, if you're a midfield player and you arrive before that happens, before that option, the amount of times you'll find that it goes behind you. If you come from behind, everything's in front of you, you can pick up balls that are knocked down, deflections that come back to you, and more than anything, you have the ability to see what's in front, and then the rest is in you to get your finish away.
So you weren't just trying to get into the box as quick as possible, you were almost slowing your run down, waiting to sort of...
Naturally, I was probably slow enough.
As if.
So that's why maybe I was intelligent enough to realise I couldn't get it. No, I think you pick and choose, and you learn off your players too. Now, that's what the really intelligent midfield players are doing. OK, have I got a Cristiano Ronaldo who's just going to go and get at people? Have I got a player that's going to cut back slightly? And then all of a sudden you try to make your runs off of the players around you. I think there, Silva, to be honest, was slightly behind play, and it works in his favour. But sometimes you have to make that decision. Do I try and get to that extra 6-yard box, or do I wait on the edge and see what happens?
So you made it look like you were going slow on purpose.
That was a trick.
Very clever, very clever. Let's have a look at the 3rd goal then. Fernandinho, absolutely brilliant tonight, wasn't he? He was central to so much that they did well.
Yeah, he just drives forward here. Attracts a lot of Basel players into it. 7 of them there on the left-hand side of Aguero. And once you give him this sort of space in the edge of the box, you know he's going to hit the target. And the form that he's in at the moment, they all seem to be flying into the corner. And it's that lack of backlift, I think, that which takes the goalie by surprise. He doesn't get time to adjust his feet and get a move on it.
Why is it so difficult to defend against someone that hits the ball quickly and cleanly like that?
Because the lack of backlift is because I think when we think about a clean strike, you kind of wind it up, your body position, you know, you had the big back lift, your arms are out. So as a goalkeeper, it's pretty simple. They go, OK, I'm expecting this shot here from 25 yards. What am I expecting? If you don't, you leave the goalkeeper with a problem. Now, when Aguero first gets the ball, he's got 3 options. A little pass there to De Bruyne to try and slip somebody else through. But he takes the one. He's actually slightly covered by the defender who's in the way of the shot slightly. But with that short back lift, Drogba used to do it all the time. You know, the goalkeeper's never set. So when they're not set, we can criticise him for not moving. He gets it out of his feet. I mean, there is some backlift here. There has to be, obviously, to get your strike away. But it's almost like a great golf swing. It comes through faster. So the
almost punches it, doesn't it?
It punches through. That brings the dip. And when you're on form, if you're not on form, you might look to pass that. When you're on form, there's one thing in his mind. That dip makes it unsavable, particularly when you don't dive.
Yeah, especially difficult when you don't dive. What's it like to defend against when a striker gets the ball like that and almost takes the defenders by surprise?
It's impossible. It gives you no time whatsoever to react. It's as you're adjusting your feet, you're trying to move, get yourself in the line of the ball, between the ball and the goal. But as you're moving, he's already shot and it's already in. And that's when there's nothing a defender can do. And then certainly, likewise for the goalkeeper, he's trying to judge where he thinks it's going to go and adjust his feet. But it's already.
As a defender, do you know in advance that you're coming up against a striker that tends to hit them early, and you're thinking of that?
Yeah, but go back years ago and you remember Romario when he used to get through and it was just that toe poke into the corner. You can't defend against it because although you know it's coming,
doing something about it
is another story. Exactly.
It can bring ugly goals. That ones that just sort of Harry Kane does it a lot. People go, oh, look, he's sort of scuffed it or it's gone in the corner and it should have been saved. When you had a quick back lift, it doesn't always fly in the top corner, but you get your shot away and goalkeepers can't move in time.
It's all about scoring goals, isn't it?
True.
And City got 4 of them tonight, and this is the 4th one from Gundogan. As you've already said, he was really good tonight, wasn't he?
Very, very good. He's really coming into his own now since his injury. He's getting game time. Very classy on the ball. He's always got goals in him from arriving in the box. He's prepared to go that bit further, but this is all about the quality of the finish. You know, we certainly can't criticise the goalkeeper there. He slips it back onto his right foot as he wants to go and bends it perfectly. And again, a team and individuals absolutely brimming with confidence.
Yeah. It's just like a training ground goal. The way they take it, there's no pressure on him at all, and the finish is just precise and excellent.
Well played him tonight. Very good indeed. The Pep Guardiola DNA runs strong through these players, doesn't it? The first thing that Vincent Kompany says, he talks about work rate. The first thing that Ilkay says is plenty to improve upon. You can sort of hear Pep talking through his players, can't you?
Yeah, they always want more. You know, they can see how much they have improved in this season. They still feel there's more to give, and that's frightening for the other teams that have to come.
And he's another good option, isn't he, in midfield? There's just so many different ways now that Pep can set this team up.
You mentioned it before. Look at their bench, David Silva, 100 million of centre-halves sitting on their bench tonight. But they'll need it because it's going to get a lot harder than what it was tonight. So as they go further, they're going to need all these players and to keep improving. They're talking about improving even though they're in fantastic form. So scary for everybody else.
So Pep talks about taking it seriously. How do you think he deals with the reverse leg of this? Look, they're in the quarterfinals. There's no point us trying to dress it up in any other way and make out that anything is on the line in the reverse game. So do the likes of Phil Foden get a game? Does he give some more minutes to Laporte and get him used to playing in his system, or does he stick with his tried and tested 11?
I think the majority will be to try and trust it. I don't think he'll make any changes which he thinks will weaken the side in any way, and I don't think he'll give players games just for the sake of giving them a game. I think he's really serious. He wants to keep this momentum going. I think even in the FA Cup against Wigan they'll play a really strong side. I don't see them laying up a little bit at all, and every time they play they just look like they want more goals, and that's what he wants. He wants them to push on and press and score.
I think even if he changes it, you know, we talked about the bench before. Even if he changes it, he's bringing in players that are of top quality. So I think there might be some rotation to a degree. He'll be looking at the big scheme of things. There'll be league games, there'll be cup competitions in between. I think, but this game here now, Basel, is going to be pretty elementary for them, really.
By the time they make it into the quarterfinals, which is where they're going to get to, they could have won the League Cup and they could be the Premier League champions already. It's still the case that when you talk about City on social media and things, there's a lot of people coming at you saying, oh, well, he's spent so much money, he's spent £1 billion or whatever. But to say that about Pep Guardiola completely overlooks the fact that right across that squad, players who were here before he arrived, almost to a man, have improved beyond measure, haven't they?
They have, and that's huge credit to him.
Yeah.
Raheem Sterling, great example as well. And I think the beauty of what he's done there, even slightly before him, maybe he had a word on some of these transfers, but they're buying young. So when you're buying quality young players, you're getting them, and he's preparing them to improve. So if Pep Guardiola, I think he's going to be very successful over the next few years, but if he was to leave this club in 2 years' time, he's leaving them in fantastic shapes. Some other managers like to buy at a level I can go, I know I've got a 27 to a 30-year-old, I'm trusted.
Instant success, effectively.
Instant success, and I understand that, but this has been a real project. But to do a project well in the long term, you have to improve the players you've got, and he really has.
Yeah, it's all right saying that you spent a lot of money. You have to spend the money well. We've seen a lot of clubs in the Premier League spend a lot of money, but not quite get the sides gelling the way Man City have. And for me, they look like they're on the path to complete domination over the next few years.
And we talk about him improving John Stones and improving Otamendi and improving Raheem Sterling. What about the work that he's done with Fernandinho? Because the two of you were watching him play tonight, and a lot of the stuff he does you wouldn't even really notice at home.
This guy is incredible. I would go as far as to say is that when he picks his team full of superstars here, Fernandinho is the first name that he picks.
Wow.
He's so fundamental to the way they play at the base of the midfield, driving through midfield as we see here. He starts so many things, but when you want to play as a team on the front foot, we keep talking about winning it back, you do need some security in midfield. He's always prompting, here everything seems to land at his feet, and what he does brilliantly, which is why you say he's slightly unrecognised, is he plays that simple pass. He plays the right pass, he's in the right position, and without a doubt, at the end of this season, maybe De Bruyne will walk away with all the accolades and Player of the Year example. If you ask the players who is a player we've really relied on, Fernandinho would be right up there in their minds.
Do you think he's their most important player? I mean, you take a look at the way they dominated the game tonight. 70% possession, 800 total passes compared to 300. 754 of them were successful. It's huge.
It's huge. It's a big call to say he's the most important. I don't want to go back on what I just said. I just think he's fundamental to the way they play.
Right.
There are so many important players in the team, De Bruyne, etc. We can talk about so many of them, but I think he really deserves his moment of praise because he does it game in, game out and slightly unnoticed. But it's, as I say, it's at the centre of how they play.
And is it easy what he does, or does he just make it look easy?
He makes it look easy. You never see him sprinting because he can read it beforehand. He knows where he is, and like Frank, I think if he takes an injury, he's the one player that City will miss massively. I think he could be the focal point for the rest of the season. If they have him, everything continues as is. If not, things change a bit.
It's good to talk about him, isn't it? Because we talk about everybody else and hardly ever about Fernandinho. So that's great. Okay, right.